Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mike Quinn. I'm the Vice Provost and an AVP Academic. And I want to thank you for joining us as part of Research and Scholarship Days for the 2020-2021 Research and Scholarship Recognition Awards. These awards are administered out of the Office of Research, Scholarship, and Community Engagement. And they're meant to recognize outstanding achievements of MRU scholars at all career stages and disciplines. The awards are designed to celebrate full-time faculty members at Mount Royal who are making extraordinary contributions to their respective academic and professional fields, our students, and our communities. The awards are also designed to recognize the diversity of disciplinary research and scholarship and capture the full spectrum of activities that we embrace and celebrate at Mount Royal. By celebrating our faculty members, these awards support and enhance the burgeoning research culture at Mount Royal University. There are 5 awards being presented today, and I want to thank everyone who was involved in this process from the very beginning, the selection committee, the administrative support we've received from Shalina and from Julia in marketing and communications, and all the nominees. We had a record number of nominees in the current year, and I'm just going to share a screen with you here that lists all of the nominees. Just bear with me. Apologies, this is just a little slow to come up. There we go. I think it's finally about to happen here. There, you should be able to see that now. So we had 27 different people nominated across the categories, and I just listed all of their names here because it really represents a significant recognition to be nominated. These are peer nominations, and often people on this list were nominated multiple times by different people. This speaks to the quality and the quantity of research and scholarship being conducted at MRU and the recognition that scholars are receiving from their colleagues. It makes the work of the selection committee very challenging. It's tough to pick one, I hate to use the word winner, but choose someone to receive the award in the current year because all of the files that are submitted are generally outstanding. So I want to recognize everyone who nominated someone and all the nominees, and for those people who completed full nomination packages, to recognize that that completing the package takes a significant amount of effort as well. And so we really thank you for taking the time to do that, and would certainly encourage people to nominate again next year if their nominee was not selected in the current year. All right, the only other thing I'll say here before we start into our presentations is that we are in the second week of Research and Scholarship Days. There are still a lot of activities left in the week, and I'd encourage people to check the schedule. It's not hard to find on the research website, Research and Scholarship website, or the main MRU website, or our community to find the links to the other events. We've been really impressed with the number of people and the ways that that folks have decided to participate in the event, especially given the challenge of doing this in a remote environment. I think we're over 80 student presentations directly, as well as other student presentations and faculty presentations in a variety of faculty, department, and institute events. So thanks to everyone who is involved in all of that. All right, I will now move into what most of you are here for, and that's presentations from the individual faculty members who were selected to receive one of the research and scholarship recognition awards in the current year. And so what I'll do is a very brief introduction to people and the award, and then I will turn it over to them to make a short presentation. Many of them will be sharing slides from their own screens, and it's challenging for people to be able to encapsulate their research enthusiasm in 5 to 7 minutes, but that's what they've been asked to do here today. So our first award is the Knowledge Mobilization Award. And I'll just read you some of the criteria here. This recognizes a researcher or scholar's innovative and sustained efforts to extend their original research and scholarly contributions to diverse audiences. It should include sustained knowledge mobilization activities, targeting quality academic journals and/or external audiences. It includes practitioners and policymakers. And the category really gets to the kind of place that Mount Royal is for the kind of research and scholarship that happens here, highly community connected, translating that message into ways that the users can make the most of it. And the Knowledge Mobilization Award for 2021 goes to Felix Nwishi from the Faculty of Science and Technology. Felix, I will turn it over to you. Congratulations on the award.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for the introduction. And hello, everyone. Welcome to our Research Recognition Day. So today, I think you should be seeing my screen right now. I'm going to do a short presentation to talk a bit about my research and what kind of how this award came about. So I am an ecosystem scientist, and what I mean by that is I study interrelationships between living organisms, their physical environment, and also biogeochemical processes, natural disturbances, and human activities, looking at how these relationships, how these components of an ecosystem interact. With regards to that, my ecosystem of interest is actually the boreal forest. So the boreal forest is the largest ecosystem biome in Canada, as you can see on the map. It stretches from the east coast through the west coast and all the way to Alaska. And within Alberta, the province of Alberta, the boreal forest is actually the largest ecosystem biome in our province. And it provides a lot of services that we all depend on. If you look at the mosaic of the landscape of the boreal forest, you see why it's an interesting place. It has uplands, wetlands, and also ponds that are interconnected. The interconnection between these landscape units makes it a favorable home for a lot of wildlife, stressing from plants, animals, as well as birds. Millions of birds actually use the boreal forest as the home for migration and also for breeding. So as a result of that, this ecosystem is one of the vital resources that we have in Canada. So my research interest is to really understand this ecosystem and some of the services that it provides to us as humans, which include serving very important cultural significance to Indigenous people of Canada. And also it serves as a source of energy. So most of the oil and gas exploration activity in our province actually takes place in the boreal forest. It provides habitat for wildlife, as I mentioned earlier. It also supports water filtration, which is very important. The interesting thing for us is that within Alberta, where we have this boreal forest also aligns with the place where we have the resource-rich component of our province. So oil and gas exploration is happening in this region. In regards to that as well, we also have forestry. Most of the forestry also happens within the boreal forests. So that translates to a lot of pressure on this ecosystem. And as a result, we see that the landscape is scarred. And as a result of our exploration activities, there is massive pressure on this landscape. So for us to help manage that and to find sustainable use of the resources that are available in these ecosystems, my research actually tries to study natural processes in environment. So I use our understanding of these natural processes to help mitigate some of the problems that human exploration actually causes on this ecosystem. Takes time, but also with regards to the knowledge that we've gathered over the years, we are trying to find sustainable means for management of pressure. So this is an example of one of the reclamation projects that I've worked on. This is a landscape that was disturbed by oil and gas exploration. And over the years, we've been able to implement restoration and reclamation landscape processes on this landscape. And you can see the transition from that disturbed landscape to what we have now as an ecosystem that is becoming functional, close to what we had in pre-disturbance. For me to do this, I actually collaborate with people from industry, NGOs, and also research institutes. I work closely with the Institute for Environmental Sustainability at Mount Royal University, and my work helps industry to address some of the crucial needs and also meet their environmental regulatory frameworks that the government require. I share my research with my students by leveraging on technology. I work with the academic research group, academic media group, and create content that students can interact with using virtual reality in classroom. I also hire students over the summer to work with me in the lab, and the data that we generate from my research is shared in my teaching. So that way, I bring my research to the classroom. Knowledge mobilization and sharing is a core aspect of my research. I tend to communicate my research to a wider audience through interviews. I also organize Wetlands Day and Symposium for the wider community that are interested in wetland science within the city of Calgary. I also work with the city and other NGOs to make my research a success. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Felix. Obviously an impressive body of work, and the commitment to making sure that the knowledge is translated and used is greatly appreciated. And certainly the kind of work you're doing is really helping to put Mount Royal on the map in terms of research and scholarship. So thank you and congratulations again on receiving this award.
Thanks very much.
Our next award category is for research and scholarship excellence. And the criteria for this award include: it celebrates excellence in research and scholarship by a tenured faculty member. It demonstrates a sustained program of research and scholarship with original and innovative contributions to their field of knowledge. The recipient demonstrates impact on the work of other researchers, scholars, professionals, or the community, and demonstrates impact and or leadership in research scholarship in a given area as recognized by peers at multiple levels. So this is an award that really captures mid to late career stages of faculty members at Mount Royal University. And I'm delighted to announce that this year's recipient of the Research and Scholarship Excellence Award goes to Rob Boschman from the Faculty of Arts. Rob, I'll turn it over to you to make your presentation. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. And I'm very pleased and delighted to be here and in the company of such accomplished colleagues. And I'm going to talk for a few minutes just about two recent aspects of the work that I've been engaged in for the last years. The first is my recently published book, White Coal City, A Memoir of Place and Family. This book was published 2 months ago by the University of Regina Press. And it's the result of a draft that I started to compose in the summer of 2009. And prior to that was engaged for an equal number of years in research and archival work and interviews. So it's been a long process. I started working on this really in the 1990s, and I've stuck with it, and I'm thrilled that it's finally come to completion. I dedicated the book to First Nations and Métis people, and I just want to read the dedication of White Coal City for the First Nations peoples of Treaty 6, 7, and 10, and the Métis in Saskatchewan, who continue to teach me how to read my own past. So the reason that I dedicated White Coal City in this way is probably best explained by a blurb that the University of Regina Press very acutely placed on the back of the book cover. It says, White Coal City is an urgent, necessary exploration of complex lives in industrial cities and what we inherit as families and as colonizers. So this book is really a kind of hybrid of autobiography and history. And I approached it under the rubric of the environmental humanities and place studies that I've been involved in this field for well over a decade and have published pretty extensively in the field in research and academic circles. This is the first time that I tried to bring something to the public that is made for a wide and general audience. And I was really trying to explore what it was like to be a little white kid, a white settler kid growing up in a Saskatchewan city whose main industry was and continues to be incarceration. So Prince Albert, Saskatchewan is the place study subject of my memoir. And it's about coming into consciousness as a child in that place. And I grew up 2 blocks away from the All Saints Residential School. And 2 blocks on the other side of the home where I grew up was the Correctional Center for Men, built in 1885, in the year after the Louis Riel resistance. And so that was my neighborhood. And, you know, as children, we're not always immediately aware of our surroundings and of our family members and our friends and our teachers. It takes time to come into an awareness of where you really are and what you're really a part of. So I wanted to explore that, but I also wanted to put it into the historical and environmental context of a colonial town that is really emblematic of a network of communities like it right across North America, and to explore questions of what it means to be a white settler child, and what it means to be complicit and a participant in really the violent dispossession of other human beings who were here for tens of thousands of years prior to colonization. So White Coal City was a long journey for me. And at the back of the book, I make some acknowledgments and some notes about my the provenance of my sources, and also thank all the people who helped me and gave me advice and read through manuscript editions. And a lot of those people are Mount Royal colleagues. And I'm pretty amazed and happy about that. That when I look at this, I have had so much support from my colleagues at Mount Royal University, and I'm really proud of that. The other part of my work that I just want to touch base on has to do with SHRC Insight Development Grant that I was the investigator for recently, and was awarded funding to explore, to make field visits under the rubric of the environmental humanities and place studies to 5 abandoned or semi-abandoned uranium extraction communities around the world. So I'm working on this with colleague Bill Bunn and an alumnus of Mount Royal University, Sarah Elizabeth Howden, who is now a University of Toronto doctoral student with a SHRC fellowship. And the 3 of us have been, to the best of our ability, under the conditions of the pandemic, visiting these communities around the world. We've visited 2 of 5 so far: Uranium City, which is on the north shore of Lake Athabasca and was a city of 5,000 people, built in the 1950s, looked a lot like Lakeview, and is now almost completely abandoned. So we've been there twice and have extensively documented and engaged with the 50 remaining people who live there. And from there, we also went down to Wyoming just before the pandemic, to Jeffrey City, Wyoming, which has a very similar history to Uranium City. And again, 50 souls remain there in what is otherwise an abandoned uranium extraction community. And hopefully soon we will be back on track and going to the Czech Republic, as well as to Australia and South Africa, all of which have communities that whose histories overlap with the two communities that we've been to so far. So this has been a very, very exciting project. We've published, we've given presentations at conferences around the world, including the UNESCO World Humanities Conference in Belgium a couple of years ago. And we have plans, and we can hardly contain ourselves because we just want to get back at it. And again, this has been a project with a ton of support from Mount Royal University, and I have to mention the Institute for Environmental Sustainability, which has been supportive of us and our work from the get-go. And I also have to mention the Dean of Arts and the Office of the Dean of Arts for the generous funding support that enabled us to get this off the ground and then go to SSHRC and ask for further funding. So that's how it works. And when it does work and it's successful, the benefits can be enormous. And we're looking forward to continuing to grow this project. So thanks again to everybody, and I'm deeply honored. And if you're looking for a copy of my book, White Coal City, I have about 75 copies sitting here, so you can email me and I'll help you get one. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Rob, and congratulations on the award and the recent publication of White Coal City. Certainly encourage people to contact Rob to get a copy of the book, and thanks, Rob, for also mentioning the laddering pathway to funding research. The institution tries to provide that initial support and then work with faculty members to grow to larger external support. And what you've provided here is really testament to the value of that kind of approach. So congratulations and thanks for being here. But before moving on, I'll just mention to everyone that that faculty members will receive. We would rather be doing this in person. I'd love to be shaking people's hands and passing their certificates to them, but they are receiving framed certificates. They're in the mail. I'm not sure if you've got your hands on them yet. If they're not there today, they will be in the next day or two. So thanks for your patience and for doing this in an online format. Our next category of Research and Scholarship Recognition Award is a really important one. Not that they aren't all important, but this one reflects, again, the type of place that Mount Royal University is and the connection between research, scholarship, and teaching of undergraduates is absolutely essential to who we are as an institution. So the Undergraduate Research and Scholarship Supervision Award celebrates meaningful and sustained commitment to enriching students' experience at MRU by providing mentorship, training opportunities to participate in and disseminate original research and scholarship. And it's important recognition because it often goes beyond the requirements of in-classroom work and dedication and commitment of faculty members to go above and beyond to provide that support to training the next generation of researchers. And I'm delighted to announce that the winner of the 2020-2021 Undergraduate Research and Scholarship Supervision Award goes to the Faculty of Arts, Yao Asante. Yao, floor is yours. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to the committee for this award. It's a real privilege to be in the company of such esteemed colleagues. I've been working with students for quite a while, but the first honest student I supervised was in 2012. And the first students I encouraged to present papers at a conference, quite a big conference, ACLAS, Association of Commonwealth Language and Literature Studies. It was held in St. Lucia in the Caribbean. Two of my students, that was in 2013. Since 2012, since 2012, I've supervised 11 honest students. And since 2013, I've supported or encouraged 25 students to present papers at national and international conferences. The number does not include students whose papers were accepted to present papers at conferences, but who could not travel to do so because of lack of funding. I've encouraged some of my students to get Pengrove presentation funding from Pengrove Presentation Fund. 4 students, each of them got $2,500 each. One of my students also got funding from the Undergraduate Research Dissemination Fund, Office of Research. My students have presented papers, as I said, at national and international conferences. Some have won awards. One student, Britton Hopkins, won first prize at a conference held by Carleton University Institute of African Studies. In fact, not only that, the paper she presented has since been published. Only 2 weeks ago, one of my students, Mary Ma, got her paper published by the Mount Royal Department of Humanities Undergraduate Review Journal. I have a lot of students in graduate schools all over Canada and Europe. Some of the prestigious conferences students have presented papers at include the Association of Canadian College and University Teachers of English, ACUTE, CACLAS, and others. I travel at times with students myself. I've traveled with students many times to the United States. I've traveled to as far as South Africa with students to present conferences. And everywhere that I've been with students, I've been so proud of the work these students do. And not just me, they've received recognition. One anecdote I want to say, the first students who presented papers at ACLAS, when they came back, they told me that professors who saw them thought they were PhD students. When they talked to them further and realized that they were undergraduate students. In fact, both students were actually in their second year. They wrote papers for me. I realized they were so good. So devoted time to them, helped them with their abstracts, helped to edit the papers, and they went to present really good papers. So when these professors realized that they were undergraduate students, they asked themselves, why don't we do this to help our students as well? I focus on helping students because I strongly believe that it is our students, the caliber of students we produce, who will help define Mount Royal. Employers ask prospective employees, the institutions they attended. My students in graduate schools, as soon as they get there, they write to thank me. Yeah, we are MA students, some are in their PhD, doing their PhDs. They said most of our colleagues are so envious of us when they hear that or learn that as undergraduate students, we presented papers at conferences. They did not get the opportunity to do such things in their schools. So it's work that I really cherish. And the papers students present usually emerge from the courses I teach. I've developed many courses at the 4,000 level and my post-colonial literature classes. I think what I want to do for the rest of the time I have is just to pay tribute to the students whose work made it possible for me to receive this award today by mentioning their names, if that's it's possible at all. The 11 honors students, Michael Hansen, Marcia Batos, Jonathan Nash, Brittany Hopkins, Alexandra Deneau, Emily Treppenhall, Jordan Metcalf, Elizabeth Dizon, Baya Kotrikaji, James Orr, and Bradley Irwin. Now, those who have presented papers at conferences, Kyle Kinachok, Thomas Brodeau, Rohan Katej, Trevor Walton, Samantha Ferrari, Marcia Batos, Britton Hopkins, Sania Said, Jonathan Nash, Alexandra Deneau, Jocelyn Taylor, Jess Lundy, Elizabeth Dizon, Shannon Proden, Jessica Liu, James Orr, Marshall Bear, Jessa Mayer, Sarah Mitchell. Others who did not have the opportunity to present papers include Andrea Johnston, Lauren Cross, and Emily Treppenhall. I'll say it has been a real privilege working with these students. I continue to work with them. And I hope that my students will continue to advertise Mount Royal University. And I'm grateful for the support that I receive from my colleagues, from my wife, and from my son, Nana. My wife is Jocelyn. They have been incredibly supportive in the work I do. My department, the Faculty of Arts, SAMRU, which at times gives students funding from their experiential learning fund. So to everyone who has supported me, I'm incredibly grateful today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Yao, and the list of students that you shared with us today are so lucky to have had you and continue to have you as a mentor in what you do. And thank you for sharing the story of hearing back from students when they move on to graduate schools. We do get those kinds of stories a lot at Mount Royal, just about the quality and quantity and the level of undergraduate research that students get to participate in here that really gives them a leg up when they move on to either graduate school or professional careers. So thank you for sharing that, and congratulations again on the award.
Thank you.
Our next award category is for community engagement. And the Community Engagement Award commends a researcher or scholar who has created meaningful research and scholarship partnerships with an external community. The scholar demonstrates significant engagement with the community partner from problem definition through to knowledge integration and mobilization. It highlights research and scholarship that addresses issues facing our communities. And we move faculties now to this next award, to the Faculty of Health, Community, and Education. And excited to announce that the winner of this year's award goes to Susan Jacoby. Susan, I'm sorry. I will now turn it over to you to make a short presentation. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mike. And I also want to extend my sincere thanks to the midwifery community, without whom I wouldn't have gotten this award, as well as my colleagues in the faculty of the School of Nursing and Midwifery and the Bachelor of Midwifery program. We are small but mighty. So I'm just going to present my screen, and sorry, I started in the middle. So what I'm presenting on now is water birth in Alberta. So first of all, why are we interested in water birth? It comes with comfort, a sense of buoyancy, warmth, provides pain relief for mothers, relaxation, and zero gravity. So the problem that I encountered when I first arrived at Mount Royal 9 years ago was that women wanted water birth for their labor and birth, and midwives trained to be able to safely provide this option for them. However, it was not available in many hospitals in Alberta, and still not, due to limited access to tubs, or it was against hospital policy in some hospitals. There was an Alberta town hall that was held in 2011, the year before I arrived at Mount Royal, to discuss the feasibility of water birth for Alberta Health Service facilities. And at that meeting, there was a quality assurance initiative that identified a need for an AHS policy and guideline to be able to be provincial-wide. So the community engagement came with the establishment of the Water Birth Working Group in 2013, and at that first meeting, we identified the issues and set about trying to develop a provincial-wide water birth infection control policy, clinical practice guideline, and parental fact sheet and informed consent. And again, there were different pockets where women could access water birth in Alberta, but it was not province-wide. So this was a working group that consisted of members from Alberta Health Services, the Alberta Provincial Midwifery Administrative Offices, Mount Royal University, University of Alberta, and then North Central and South Zone midwifery leads. So very, very many participants in this process. And it's gone through many, many iterations and drafts, and is currently at the very top level of the Alberta Health Service Executive Committees in process. And I believe we'll have an announcement soon, hopefully soon, that it's passed. And so the solution was that, again, we wanted this, and there's 3 Cochrane database studies on safety and efficacy of water birth. Many, many international studies have been published through the years. However, the physicians at the town hall meetings and the different meetings that I presented this to, including grand rounds, were concerned that there were no published studies on the safety of water birth in Alberta for Albertan women. And so we decided, okay, well, then we need to get an Alberta study. So the Alberta Perinatal Health Program began collecting data on midwifery water births beginning in 2014, and is now actually on the Alberta Perinatal Health records. And the first Alberta study was published on retrospective data of water birth outcomes from 2014 to 2017 in the Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecologists of Canada. And we're currently looking at the 2017, 18, and 19 data, which is the most recent data that the Alberta Perinatal Health Program has. And so the findings from this study, we compared 1,716 water births with 21,320 non-water birth or land birth, maternal and neonatal outcomes. And we found that in the water birth group, the women, the mothers, had fewer and less severe perinatal lacerations despite increased macrosomia or bigger babies. So fewer tears with bigger babies. So that's a huge finding. And in the non-water birth group, they had increased maternal factors such as young age, less than 20 years, third and fourth degree or more severe perineal lacerations, and excessive blood loss. And neonatal factors such as a low APGAR score less than 7 at 5 minutes and neonatal intensive care unit admission. That was in the land birth arm of the study. And there was no significant differences identified between those two birth groups for premenopausal status, maternal fever, maternal peripheral infection, intensive care unit admission, low birth weight, neonatal resuscitation through 28 days of life. And so this study found that in a low risk maternal cohort of water births managed by registered midwives in Alberta had equivalent or even improved maternal and neonatal outcomes compared with a low risk maternal cohort of land or traditional births managed by midwives and other maternity providers such as OBs and family practice physicians. This is just, I know this is blurred, but just so you can see that the working drafts for the clinical practice guideline, the infection control policy, and parental fact sheet on water immersion for labor and birth. And hopefully it's passed through MNC, and hopefully it will soon be out and for use in all AHS facilities. So I know that was a quick presentation. I had taken my 5 minutes and practiced trying to present it in that amount of time, but hopefully you can see what the midwifery research community has been up to over the last 9 years or so. So this is just an example of a grassroots initiative started by the women and working its way up through the various committees and, you know, rather than a top-down approach, which is a more patriarchal approach. So I really love doing grassroots research and engaging the community in what they would like to see. So thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Fabulous to see the community engagement and the impact of this work. And I agree, it's almost cruel to ask researchers to try to talk about a major part of their lives in 5 to 7 minutes here, but you provide us some significant highlights. Congratulations again on this award. Our final award, certainly last but certainly not least, is for the Emerging Scholar. And this award celebrates excellence in research and scholarship for a faculty member with an appointment as an assistant professor or a senior lecturer at MRU. It focuses on research and scholarship that demonstrates impact and originality by producing new knowledge in their discipline or field. And I'm delighted to say that the next award recipient comes from my own faculty group, and that's Andrea Dawson. Andrea, the floor is yours. Congratulations.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mike. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So thanks to all of you for being here, and congratulations to my colleagues that have shared here today. I'm honored to be able to share about my research, which is summarized by the title of the presentation that I'm sharing now. So Earth Systems Change, Forests, Uncertainty, and Learning from the Past. So changes in global average temperatures are one of the many lines of evidence that the Earth's climate is changing. And we have direct observations of climate for about the last century. And this figure that I'm sharing now shows the global temperature anomaly for the last 150 years. I'm sharing this because the understanding that the Earth system is changing motivates most of my work. And so given this, we'd like to be able to make forecasts about the future of this Earth system. But it's actually not that simple because the Earth system is composed of several components whose feedbacks are complex and not yet entirely understood. So I spend most of my time thinking about the biosphere, but also about the biosphere-atmosphere feedbacks. And so forecasts about the Earth system are made using mathematical models, and there are many different models. And when these models are used to make predictions about the same ecosystem state, there is disagreement. So this suggests room for improvement. So these models are most often constrained by modern observations, data that we have collected over the last century at best. But there's actually a wealth of indirect past evidence of Earth systems change, and that's paleo data. And that includes tree rings and fossil pollen data, which are the data types that I work with. So if we can actually bridge between these data types that operate at these different timescales, then we have more information to be able to constrain these models. But the data itself is not what we're interested in. So to actually bridge between these data types and timescales, we need to translate that data to understanding. And so this is the piece that I work on, developing data-driven mathematical models to address questions about Earth systems change across space and time. And just for context, the philosophical truths that underpin most of my work, I'm going to state here. So the first one is that all models are wrong, but some are useful. Among competing hypotheses, the one with the fewest assumptions should be selected. And we know what is certain only to the extent that we can say with confidence what is uncertain. And I work primarily with two kinds of paleo data, so tree rings and fossil pollen. And so many of you have probably heard about tree rings before. So in places with temperate climates, like here, trees produce annual rings. And so this growth is in response to the surrounding environment. So in a favorable year, the tree will grow more. And in a less favorable year, the tree will grow less. So we can actually measure those rings and learn about past environments as well as implications for things like carbon storage, among other things. And so I'm just going to share a few of the projects that I'm currently involved with that use tree rings. So first, do trees remember? So in this project, we quantify the persistent and cumulative effects of disturbance and drought on forest growth. Second, how heavy are those trees? In this project, we are working to quantify the uncertainty in our estimates of forest carbon storage. Third, how sensitive is the valley? So for this project, we are reconstructing climate for the Kananaskis Valley from tree rings to learn about past climatic variability in this climatically sensitive transitional region. So to extend this understanding even further back in time, we need to look to other data types. And so fossil pollen is one of those data types, and it's one that I work with. And so trees make pollen that is dispersed, and much of it ends up deposited on the ground. And if that deposition environment is just right, then that sediment accumulates through time. And so we can go and take a core from that sediment, and going down that core is like going back through time. So we can actually identify and count the pollen grains in that core and then learn about past environments. So again, I'll just highlight some of the projects that I'm involved with that use fossil pollen to address questions about Earth systems change. So first, how fast can trees move? So for this project, we are actually working to integrate fossil pollen data and genetic data to estimate forest migration rates from the last glacial maximum to today. Second, how hot was the Holocene? So this project involved compiling different climate proxy records, including fossil pollen data, to reconstruct Holocene temperatures. Third, what's the reflectance? And so for this project, we are reconstructing albedo so the reflectance of the surface of the Earth at the boreal tundra ecotone to be able to better understand forest climate feedbacks. Okay, so results from these projects are currently being used to constrain Earth system's forecasts, and this is done using data assimilation. So if a forecast, if a model forecast is being made for a time for which we also have observations, we can actually use those observations to correct the model state before moving on to the next time step. And so I'm currently working on a review position piece that describes some other ways in which paleo data can be used to improve forecasts. So I just want to end by thanking everyone involved, especially the students and research assistants who really do most of the work, as well as my colleagues and the funding agencies that support this work. So if anyone is interested in talking more about anything I said today, please reach out by email.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Andrea. You obviously have an impressive research career ahead of you here, and working on something like climate change is so essential, so challenging. I appreciated your comments about uncertainty and working with the challenging models that you do. Congratulations on the award. I just want to thank all of the nominees, all of the award winners, and want to point out a few people who are involved in the process here. Kit Dobson chaired the selection committee process this year, was joined on the committee by Asha Krishnamurthy, John Mee, Lynn Lefebvre, Lynn Mormon, and Madeline Vanderwolf. So thank you all for the difficult choices you had to make. I'm sure all of you that have seen these presentations now recognize just how high a quality we're seeing from our Mount Royal community. You didn't hear from all of the nominees, all of the broader nominees, and again, outstanding applications across the board. And I just want to recognize the effort that goes into this. Especially given the current conditions and the ability of people to keep their research and scholarship programs bumping along despite the remote conditions that we find ourselves working in. And then finally, the commitment to things like community engagement, sharing information, and engaging with undergraduate students in the full delivery of the research programs. Again, a reminder that there are other Research and Scholarship Days events happening for the rest of the week. Please check the schedule. I want to thank all of you for joining us on the live stream today. We will be sharing a recording of this event on the Research and Scholarship website in coming weeks. So if you do want to let other people know about what you heard here today, you can let them know there will be a link, and we'll share that link out more broadly as well. So thanks very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll see you again next year for the 2021-2022 version of our Research and Scholarship Recognition Awards. Goodbye. Thanks so much, presenters. Congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Congrats.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.